Welcome to another edition of HorseCenter, everyone. I am Brian Zipse, and as always, I have the excellent pleasure of being joined by my co-host to the East Coast. That's Matt Shifman. How are you today, Matt?
I'm good, Brian. It's always a pleasure to be here at Horse Center with you, my friend.
Oh, thank you, sir. I appreciate that as well. Same here, Matt. We have a big weekend of racing. We have the $12 million Dubai World Cup with plenty of Americans. We also have a huge day of racing on the Kentucky Derby Trail with the Louisiana Derby leading a huge day at Fairgrounds. We're also going to talk about the Fairgrounds Oaks a little bit, so it's a pretty jam-packed show today. Are you ready to go?
Absolutely, Brian. Good purses at fairgrounds. Guess they can't measure up to what's they're offering at Medina, but good purses in America too.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Big money at in New Orleans, and our heart goes out to everyone affected by the recent tornado there. But without further ado, Matt, we're going to jump to Dubai, and we're going to look at that Dubai World Cup that I mentioned, $12 million, a mile and a quarter. We've seen the Americans do very well in this race over the years, Matt. And as you can tell by the odds, which I think were taken from a European site, Matt, the Americans pretty much dominate the favoritism in this World Cup, and of course, it starts with none other than Life is Good.
Yeah, Brian, life is good. And once again, boy, the talk and the comments from experts and top handicappers and people at the track, both in America before Life is Good shipped over to Dubai, and then over there, the comments about this horse on the racetrack in training are just, I don't know. You don't hear comments like that very often about the way he gets across the racetrack and his competitive nature and his physical stature. Once again, people gushing about this horse.
Yeah, he's been an outstanding individual all along, Matt. Of course, he only has that one loss, which was 7 furlongs after a layoff against the excellent sprinter Jackie's Warrior at Jackie's Warrior's favorite track. So Life is Good certainly has done nothing wrong in his career. We're going to take a look back at that Pegasus because it was almost shocking to me, Matt. I know Nick's Goat didn't get off to the greatest of starts in there, but it was almost shocking to me how easily Life is Good did it over the horse of the year. I guess he hadn't been named horse of the year, but we all knew Nick Sco was going to be named Nick horse of the year soon after this Pegasus. And it was really never a race. Life is Good took command 5 strides out of the gate, and Nick Sco had no early answer and no answer at any point during the race. Perhaps he didn't run his very best, as evidenced by the fact that the other horse, Stiletto Boy, was lapped onto him for a lot of the stretch. But super impressive for Life is Good. 9 furlongs, longest race he'd run. Now he goes 10 furlongs at Medina.
Yeah, and maybe you were hinting at it about Nick Sco in the Pegasus. We all blamed it on a poor start, and maybe it wasn't just a poor start. Maybe it was Life is Good just putting a whooping on Nick Sco in there partially also. And yeah, he's going to have to go the 10 furlongs, but he's breaking from the rail, so he's gonna has the opportunity to have the shortest trip around the track as possible. So we know what IRAD is going to do. They're going to go out of the gate. They're going to go to the lead, and it looks like he can have everything the way he wants on the lead. Doug O'Neill with Hot Rod Charlie said, boy, they'd love to be on the lead themselves, but there's no way they're going to get to the lead. They're going to have to revise their plans and try and run down Life is Good.
Well, you know me, Matt. You know me. I always like Hot Rod Charlie. I've been a fan of the Son of Oxbow all along, and I would love to see him win a race like the Dubai World Cup. He's got a lot of speed. Midnight Bourbon has good speed. Country Grammar has some speed as well. But yeah, it really isn't Life is Good type of speed. It seems like Hot Rod Charlie or Midnight Bourbon would be the most likely candidates to press him early. I'm guessing maybe even Hot Rod Charlie, the second choice, the clear second choice, as we see it, will be the one that goes after him early. But yeah, their work is cut out for them. But on the other hand, I do think that all of those horses, Matt, starting with Hot Rod Charlie, a very impressive 3-year-old, an impressive 2-year-old, and a horse who's run a lot of big races. Remember how well he ran in the Belmont after setting fast fractions at a mile and a half. All of those horses will be going after Life is Good at some point, and Life is Good needs to prove it on the other side of the world and at 10 furlongs. Does the 10 furlongs not worry you at all? You don't seem worried.
I don't know, Brian. The the whole Dubai World Cup thing, I just don't love it. I'm going to editorialize for a minute. I don't like that our top horses here are going to Dubai to run for $12 million. I really wish we could do something in our country, somehow have a coalition and put together a big race in our country, rotated at racetracks, throw money in different together and 5 different tracks and move from track to track so we could put $10 million together and run the race here instead of these top horses going over there, and now we're not going to see them for who knows how long. I just don't like it, Brian. So yeah, I like Life is Good. Is he going to get the 10 furlongs approximate distance? We'll find out, but I just have a sour taste in my mouth that that they're going to race over there, and then we're not going to get to see them for who knows how long.
Yeah, yeah. Some come back quicker than others, Matt. If we had something like we had in the past, where it was a bonus system for big older races, older male races, that would be a great thing. But it just seems like they're less and less interested in running a lot, and money talks. Obviously, with this rich money, huge money in the Saudi Cup and the Dubai World Cup. So it is what it is, and here we are. It's an interesting race. I think Hot Rod Charlie certainly has a shot against Life is Good, going 10 furlongs. I also think that the other two horses, the other two Americans, should run good again. Country Grammar, I guess, more so than Midnight Bourbon for me, because he looks like a horse, a son of Tonalist, who wants 10 furlongs. I think he got 10 furlongs.
Looks as though Mandaloon is now absolutely cooked.
9 furlongs that he got here when he was second in the Saudi Cup. I know he was caught late in that race, but he just looks like a horse where he can kind of grind along and stay the trip. So they all should be in near pursuit of Life is Good, although I thought Nick Sco would be as well last time in the Pegasus. I guess it comes down to whether Life is Good can repeat that Pegasus type of performance, and then if so, he'll be awfully tough in this $12 million World Cup.
Yeah, certainly. That's the big factor. We've got a couple Euros in there. We've got the second place finisher and the third place finisher from the Dubai World Cup from last year in the field. Chua Wizard was second last year, and Magny Coors was third in the Dubai World Cup last year. Magny Coors from the combo, the connections of Fabra and William Buick.
Yeah. Godolphin has 2 in here. Magny Cours did not run at all in the recent Saudi Cup. He ran 10th. The other Godolphin horse, Real World, who seems like more of a turf horse at this point, is trying again. So they must have a reason to try him again on dirt after an 11th place finish in the Saudi Cup. Chua Wizard, of course, from Japan, ran a big race last year, coming off a win in Japan. Hypothetical has been the house horse, the horse who's been running at Medina and maybe better than ever, coming off an Al Maktoum Challenge Round win recently. So there are some competition for the Americans. We often forget about the international horses in a race like this, and you see that reflected in the odds when we're betting the Dubai World Cup. But once again, I think the Americans have it over the barrel. Matt, let's stop talking about this Dubai World Cup, because you have that sour taste in your mouth about the Americans running over there. Let me just get a top pick from you.
I'm going to stick with Life is Good. Like you said, he's going for his 4th win in a row, going for his 7th win out of 8 career starts. We'll see if the Life is Good machine can keep on rolling.
Okay, and I'm going to pick an upset just to pick an upset. Obviously, Life is Good is the horse to beat here, but I like Hot Rod Charlie. I like Country Grammar. I think Country Grammar fits here if he can come back with a similar performance than he did last time off a pretty long layoff, the son of Tunnelist. So I think Hot Rod Charlie and Country Grammar are the most interesting. Midnight Bourbon just doesn't seem to win. I'm going to go with Hot Rod Charlie. Big surprise. You surprised? You're not surprised.
I'm not surprised. I don't think you and I are surprising anybody with our picks. Maybe I surprised some fans with my little bit of Dubai World Cup rant.
That's okay, Matt. We want to know what's on your mind. Hey, let's look at this Louisiana Derby. Very interesting. I think the Kentucky Derby preps really start on Saturday because, as we talked about the Big Six last week, this is the first of the Big Six, Matt. It's the longest of the 6. It's 1 mile and 3/16. We have to talk to our graphics person there because, of course, it's a mistake. 1 mile 3/16 $1 million Louisiana Derby, and all eyes on Epicenter, the 6-horse, Matt. Epicenter has been very good since coming down to New Orleans late last year.
Yeah, absolutely. Epicenter is just ahead shy of winning his last 4 races, and that head came in the Lecomte when Call Me Midnight ran him down at the wire to just get up and win that race. Right, Steve Asmussen has Epicenter in really fine form, and Steve Asmussen horses like Epicenter are known to thrive with the more they run, the better they get. He's already got a spot locked up in the Kentucky Derby field. I think he's sitting in 2nd place on the Derby list. The Derby points list already. The son of Not This Time just romped Brian in the Risen Star, geared down at the end. And I don't know, looking at the field, it looks like he could sit the same kind of trip in here with not much speed signed up in this race.
Yeah, I'm going to differ with you just a little bit, Matt. Not how easy the Risen Star was, because he certainly made it look easy, that 9-furlong race at Fairgrounds last month. He controlled the pace easily. He turned it on at the top of the stretch, and he probably could have won by a lot more than, I guess, the final margin was just under 3 lengths. But there were good horses, as we know, behind him, horses like Smile Happy and Zandon behind him. So very impressive performance. But I do think there is a little bit more speed here than there was in the Risen Star. 2 horses that jump out at me as possible speed horses in this field include Galt, who is the full brother, as we know, to the great Songbird. Lost his rider last time in the Fountain of Youth, but before that he set the pace, a pretty good pace in the Holy Bull when he was 4th, a decent 4th behind White Abario. So Galt has every reason in the world to improve, considering his pedigree and his trainer. So Galt from the outside could show speed. I don't think they want to get hung out going to the first turn. And then you got Zozos on the inside, Matt, and I don't think Zozos wants to fall too far behind Epicenter there from the inside. So I'm thinking one or both of those horses might take the race to Epicenter, at least to the point of more than Epicenter saw last time in the Risen Star.
Yeah, I think that might be possible. Those certainly Zozos is making a big step up in this race. Brad Cox making his 3rd start for Brad Cox, and that performance in that allowance race at the fair at Oaklawn Park after breaking his maiden at Fairgrounds was pretty nifty. He showed a nice turn of foot coming down the stretch in that race.
Yeah, Munnings, for my money, Munnings has become one of America's best sires, and especially what American racing is these days, kind of speed and the distance races of 1.25 miles or more are kind of falling away. So Munnings is a top-notch sire. You mentioned that race at Oaklawn Park last time. I will say this, in the maiden race, he didn't debut until January. We're talking about Zozos for trainer Brad Cox. He didn't debut until January. And horses he beat in kind of that hard fought, he had to grind it out at 6 furlongs. Cox thought he might win easier because he thought he had something before the race. But the horses that ran second and third came out and won their next start. And then he went to Oaklawn Park, Matt, and he did this. And he was not the favorite. The horse on the rail there was the favorite. And Zozos just made it look easy. You said Epicenter made it look easy in the Risen Star, but certainly Zozos did the same thing, just an allowance race at Oaklawn Park.
Yeah, he really cruised down the stretch in that race and drew off to win by 10 lengths. Brad Cox thought he had a good one, so he's earned his right to take a shot on the Derby trail in here. And he doesn't have to win this race to get into the Derby field. I think into the Derby field, a second place, a third place will probably be enough.
Yeah, even a third place could be enough these days. We'll see. This is obviously a huge step up for Zozos after just a 6 furlong debut in January, then a 1.16 allowance race in February at Oaklawn Park. But a very interesting horse. I think he'll get bet more than that morning line suggests, Matt. They have him as 8-1, which is like the co-fourth choice, I guess. I could easily see Zozos, Brad Cox, Florent Geroux being the second choice in here. Maybe the horse that should be the second horse is a horse you already mentioned, Call Me Midnight. Now, Epicenter, since coming to Fairgrounds, has just won the Gun Runner easily. He won last time, he won the Risen Star easily. But in between, the only horse to beat him was Call Me Midnight. And Call Me Midnight closed with a surge there. Pretty impressive. What I noted about Call Me Midnight's training pattern for trainer Keith DeSormo, he was getting better and better, kind of a work in progress as a 2-year-old. Good second place finish to Giant Game. Very nice maiden win. And then they brought him back really quick in that tough Kentucky Jockey Club. And he made a move, but he faded quickly out of that. I think they brought him back too soon. He was given 2 months before the Lecomte and fired big. Now he's had 2 months since the Lecomte, skipping the Risen Star for the Louisiana Derby.
Yeah, seems like it was a definite plan, and didn't seem to be any interruption in his training after the Lecomte. He had the usual couple weeks or so after the race, and then got back into training and stayed in training with works coming at a regular pace and increasing in distance as those works progressed, heading up into the Louisiana Derby. So it looked like DeSormo had a plan, and everything went on schedule and stuck to it. And here they are a couple months afterwards. And if he runs well and picks up more points, they've got a nice spacing between this Derby prep and the Kentucky Derby, with this March 26th date giving the most possible time before the first Saturday in May.
Yeah, that's still 6 weeks away from the Kentucky Derby. I like your thinking there, Matt. I also like the way he's working. Yeah, it wasn't like there was something wrong with him. That's why he missed the Risen Star.
Yeah.
And his last 2 workouts seem to be his best yet. So I think Call Me Midnight is a horse still flying under the radar. Tough to come from way out of it, maybe in this mile 3/16 Louisiana Derby. But like I said, there could be some pace pressure to Epicenter, which certainly will help Call Me Midnight. Could also help Rattle and Roll, Matt, a little bit. Rattle and Roll, of course, became a very good 2-year-old last year, developed into a nice 2-year-old for trainer Kenny McPeak. Ended his 2-year-old season with a Grade 1 win, impressive rally at Keeneland in the Breeders' Futurity, but then was away for a while, 5 months or so, and his return race in the Fountain of Youth was not exactly something that opened our eyes to him as a true Kentucky Derby contender just yet.
No, that's for sure. And most of McPeak's Derby contenders that showed promise as 2-year-olds, have not lived up to that those performances as 2-year-olds thus far. In their 3-year-old year, Smile Happy did okay in his return, but the others are going to have to show a lot more, and that includes Rattle and Roll.
Yeah, the Son of Connect seems to be working pretty well for his second race, but I'm with you, Matt. Yeah, I could see him improve off that Fountain of Youth, but is he going to really improve enough to make a big dent in this Louisiana Derby? That's a big question to me. Certainly, of the ralliers, I prefer Call Me Midnight in this Louisiana Derby. Another horse I do want to mention on our list, Matt, or a couple other horses, Pioneer Medina, surprisingly, is the second choice. I don't know if that's extra respect for trainer Todd Pletcher, but looking back, Pioneer Medina did run a pretty good race, the son of Pioneer of the Nile, when he was fourth in the Risen Star.
Yeah, I agree. He, certainly came into the race well with a maiden special weight at Tampa and an allowance win at the fairgrounds. He was second early in that Risen Star and ended up fourth. So, a good kind of performance in there. This field in the Louisiana Derby is certainly not easier than than what he faced in the Risen Star.
It's not easier, but I don't know if it's any tougher, Matt, because Epicenter's in here, and then you throw out Smile Happy and Zandon. Maybe it is easier. I'm not sure. There are a lot of other options here, though. You're right in this Louisiana Derby. He's got some speed too. Didn't look like he could go or really wanted to go with Epicenter last time, so it'll be interesting to see if they try to push that a little bit more this time. Does look like a horse who should be able to get the extra distance here in the Louisiana Derby and beyond. One more horse, though, I have to mention is a long shot I like quite a bit. His name is Capuna, Matt. Capuna is a son of Hard Spun. I like Hard Spuns. Brett Calhoun has a history of doing well at the fairgrounds, and Capuna just seems like a horse to me who's getting better with each and every start. He's got a little bit of tactical speed, but certainly he'll be more mid-pack. He's certainly shown the ability to pass horses. And don't sleep on that second place finish where he was only second best to Cyberknife last time, because I think Cyberknife is a very talented 3-year-old. And Capuna is working well. I don't think he's going to be anywhere near those 8-1 morning line odds. I think we're going to get double digits on Capuna, and I want to throw him in my exotics.
Yeah, I agree with that. I heard Brett Calhoun talking about the horse. He likes him. Lightly raced horse on the improvement. Yes, second behind a good horse. I know the jock likes him also. Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting long shot. And I agree with you, Brian. I think Zozos, with his 2-for-2 record, with his trainer Brad Cox, the Eclipse Award winner, a trainer who's very popular at the betting windows. I agree with you. I think he is very likely to be the second choice. I think the 8-1 morning light odds is way too high on that horse. Other horses like Capuna is going to be higher. I don't know. Pioneer Medina and Todd Pletcher's always going to get played. I think Galt is an interesting horse to see what the odds are going to be on him. Also, with losing the rider and who knows what we're going to get from that one in this race. Could run a good one, or who knows?
Yeah. Galt is a question mark, but I would expect him to show some early speed here. Not sure if it's Epicenter kind of speed, but we'll see. There are some betting options here, Matt, but I'm gonna press you now for your top pick in here. An interesting edition of the $1 million Louisiana Derby.
Yeah, I really think that Epicenter is going to get loose on the lead. I don't think that the horses that you're mentioning are really going to be able to pressure him Again, I don't think it's necessary for Epicenter to win this race, although Asmussen usually likes to keep on winning. He is the horse to beat, but I like the training pattern for Call Me Midnight. I'm going to take a shot with that Keith DeSorma trainer. So Call Me Midnight will be my pick.
All right, I like it, Matt. You're going for some odds, and I think you'll get some odds. 6-1 on the morning line. That's probably close to right. Maybe even he drifting a little bit higher. I like Call Me Midnight too. I just don't know if I like him for the win this time. I think he's a really good play in the exotics, finishing first, second, or third. Epicenter, he just looks like a horse developing. He actually reminds me of Gunrunner, another Winchell and Asmussen horse who became a absolute superstar a few years ago. Epicenter is the horse to beat. I do think he will get a little bit pressure than my HorseCenter partner, but I still think he's the horse to beat as well as he's doing. I want to use Call Me Midnight for sure. I want to use Capuna, my real long shot, for sure, in here with him. I might even throw in Zozos a little bit, but I'll have to see what the odds are because I think he's a horse with a future. I can't bet Rattle and Roll and Galton Pioneer of Medina in here, even though it wouldn't surprise me if they stepped up. Curly Tail and Silent Power are big long shots. My top pick is honestly Epicenter, but I'm going to use Capuna and Call Me Midnight there quite a bit. All right, Matt, let's go to our final big race of the weekend that we're going to talk about here on HorseCenter, and that, of course, is the return of the unbeaten champion, Matt. She was so good last year. There she is, the pretty filly Echo Zulu from the same connections as Epicenter, Matt, the daughter of Gunrunner. 4 starts last year, combined 22 lengths in victory. And she wasn't exactly ducking competition in her 4 starts last year either.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's great to see Echo Zulu back, Brian. Finally, and you're right. She certainly didn't duck competition after her maiden special weight win. It was right into graded stakes company, winning a graded stakes races one after the other, and then the Breeders' Cup Juvenile fillies to wrap up the 2-year-old championship. And here she is making her 3-year-old debut in the Fairground Oaks for trainer Steve Asmussen. It could be a big day at the fairgrounds for Asmussen and his top rider Joel Rosario.
Yeah, absolutely. With Epicenter and Echo Zulu, that's quite a 1-2 duo. It could be 2 of the best 3-year-olds of either gender in the country. Echo Zulu's been on a work pattern now for a couple months where she should be ready. She drew the rail. She drew a short field. I do think the other 5 fillies in the race, Matt, are pretty nice fillies, but Echo Zulu still stands tall. You mentioned the Breeders' Cup Juvenile fillies. That's the last time we saw her, just over 4.5 months ago. So it is a pretty sizable layoff. But I generally like speed horses coming back fresh, and I like the short field, and I like the rail. So there's not too much probably to worry about if she's the same filly that we saw last year. I guess the early part of November was the last time we saw her. But those 3 Grade 1 wins, Saratoga, Belmont, Del Mar, she was head and shoulders above her competition last year.
Yeah, that's for sure, Brian. And she was a debut winner last year. She's a 3-year-old now. We have to assume that she has gotten bigger and stronger. So it's a small field. She's on the rail. She's going to have the shortest path around. She's already gone. She's already gone 2 turns. It's a pretty good field. I think her, again, like in the Louisiana Derby, Asmussen is going to, have main competition from a horse trained by Brad Cox and another horse trained by Todd Pletcher.
Yeah, that could be. Although I think if anybody tries to go, we were looking for someone to go after Epicenter early in the Louisiana Derby. If anybody goes after her early in this Fairground Oaks, it might even be less likely than the Louisiana Derby. But if anybody does it, I would think Hidden Connection might have the speed to do it. This is a daughter of Connect, Matt, who was awfully good in her first two starts last year. She's finished fourth in her last two. Of course, one of them included the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. I will mention, though, that she did not have the best of trips that day and soon fell behind Echo Zulu, and that pretty much sealed her fate in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. But maybe they try to go after her here. I don't think that's necessarily a winning formula for Hidden Connection, but she might be the one that could add some pressure if Echo Zulu is not at her best. But yeah, Turn Her Loose, the Cox filly, and Favor, the Pletcher filly, look like the two to me that are serious threats if Echo Zulu is not 100% to actually win the race.
Yeah. I think all the comments that we're making are coming with that caveat of if for some reason Echo Zulu doesn't come back at, I don't even know if she needs to come back at 100%. If she doesn't come back at, I don't know what, 85%, 90%, whatever it is. But yeah, certainly Turn Her Loose came back in her debut in the Rachel Alexandra, in her debut on the dirt, moving from turf to dirt, and looked really good winning that Rachel Alexandra and Favor, daughter of Pioneer of the Nile for Pletcher, broke her maiden special weight and won an allowance at Gulfstream Park, both times in one turn miles. With stalking trips as heavy favorites. Looks like a nice horse. But again, I think Echo Zulu is going to be very hard to beat if she comes back as Echo Zulu.
Yeah, enough said. Berna Breezy, a daughter of Bernardini, has two nice rallying wins over the Fairground Strip. Sequist has been running against very good horses ever since breaking her maiden first time out last year. Those two fillies have really no early speed, so I think they're looking to maybe add some points here on the Kentucky Oaks Trail to rally up for a piece if Echo Zulu just turns away all competition by the time they're straightening out. Of the rest, Matt, I like Favor, the Pletcher filly with some potential. The Pioneer, the Nile filly, who's won two straight races at Gulfstream Park at a mile, second best. I'm not going to ask you who's your top pick. I'm going to ask you who's your second pick in this field.
Good, good one. Yes, of course, my top pick is Echo Zulu, and my second pick is going to be Turn Her Loose.
Turn Her Loose. All right, I'm on the favorite bandwagon as my second pick, but Turn Her Loose could do it again. Second time dirt. That was a nice win as a long shot in the Rachel Alexandra. All right, folks, that's the show. Before we go, Matt, we need a parting shot from you out there on the East Coast.
Hey, I want to thank everybody for watching the show. Hey, Brian, do you know what time the Dubai World Cup is running?
Matt, you got me there. I know it's going to be late morning over in Dubai World Cup, but I'm not sure the
Okay.
post time.
So roughly it's
or early afternoon, late morning, early afternoon.
Okay, good.
All right, folks, that's our show. I want to thank you, like Matt said, for watching the show every week. We sure do appreciate it. If you haven't yet subscribed to our YouTube channel here at Horse Racing Nation, go ahead and do that. We sure do appreciate it. Thanks to our sponsor, the best contest site out there. That's Derby Wars. I also want to thank Candace Curtis for the great graphics. Next week, we have Kentucky Derby preps, Matt, to talk about from places like Arkansas, the Arkansas Derby. I'm getting excited for that. There's the Wood Memorial as well. So we're excited to bring you more Kentucky Derby coverage right here on HorseCenter, folks. We will see you then.